मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दं माधवम्. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let me share my screen or my desktop. Okay. And then I am sharing both the slides and with the base. So in the Brahma-saṁhitā, we finished verse 15, up to verse 15 last week. So briefly in last week, we saw that how from the Mahā-Viṣṇu, from the pores, bodily pores of Mahā-Viṣṇu, unlimited number of universes in the form of egg-shaped universes that they came out. And then Mahā-Viṣṇu, as his amsha or his expansion, he enters in each and every universe as a viśvaṁ or the super soul of that universe. And that it is explained that he had thousands of heads, sahasramurda viśvaṁ, Mahā-Viṣṇu Sanatana. He entered in each and every universe. And then after that, from his bodily limbs, he created the three deities. That is, from Vamangad Asrajat Vishnum, from his left side, he created Vishnu. Dakshinangat Prajāpati, from his right side, he created Prajāpati or Brahmaji. And Jyotirlingamayam Śambhu, Purcha Deshat Avasrajat. And from the space between his two eyebrows, he created Śambhu, or which is also considered as the masculine manifested hollow. So that masculine manifested hollow, today we'll read about him first in this verse. ahaṅkārātmakaṁ viśvaṁ tasmād etad vyajāyata. So ahaṅkārātmakaṁ viśvaṁ. So when these universes, they came out of the pores of the body, they came in contact with material nature and they are covered by the pancha mahabhuta. And that ahaṅkārātmakam, so the basis of ahaṅkāra, or all the living entities which are in this material universes, they are covered by ahaṅkāra, or the false ego, bodily conception of life. And that ahaṅkāra, tasmād etad vyajāyata, that ahaṅkāra is created, or the basis of that ahaṅkāra is that Śambhu, which came out of the between the two eyebrows of Mahā-Viṣṇu. So the function of Śambhu in relation to the jīvas is that this universe, enshrining the mundane egotistic principle, has originated from Śambhu. So the ahaṅkāra, that is the basis of this this material universe to keep the living entities in the separated form. That ahaṅkāra is the created by Mahā-Viṣṇu, or that is, he is the basis of that ahaṅkāra. And in the purport, it is explained that first it is explained that the basic principle is the Supreme Lord himself. So the original creator or the basic principle is the Supreme Lord Mahā-Viṣṇu, but he is the principle of existence of all entities devoid of separating egotism. So he is the basis. He is connected only to the living entities or the souls which are devoid of this false ego, which are pure in their ego. But the basis of for all these other living entities who are in the material world, who are separated, they are mentioned here, the individual entities as separated egotistic symbol, they are covered by the ahaṅkāra that is coming from this Śambhu, and that is the perverted reflection of the unalloyed chit potency or Rama-Devi of the supreme being or the Mahā-Viṣṇu. And so these all living entities in the material world, they as well as the material world is the reflection of the original chit potency of the Lord, and even the mundane potency, and they are also coming from the Śambhu, that is the masculine generative. That is the masculine generative principle that is mentioned for creation in this material world, and which is taking accommodated in the space that is created by the material nature, that is also the perverted reflection of the chit potency or Rama Devi of the Lord. And again, here it is mentioned the function of Shambhu is nothing but merely causal principle, the creation or the injecting these jīvas covered by the ahaṅkārā. And so this Shambhu again is created by as a principle of Rudra from the space between the two eyebrows of Mahā-Viṣṇu, and that is the one who is controlling deity of ahaṅkārā in this material world. And Shambhu is mentioned as the primary principle of egotistic mundane universe in this perverted material world, and the jīvas identify, in which the jīvas identify themselves with the limited material bodies. So all the living entities in this material world, they forget their original identity and they identify themselves with the material body that they are created with, and that is what the false ego is. Now, few things here I noted. Last week we saw that Vishnu, Brahma and Shambhu are created from Mahā-Viṣṇu, from his different limbs. And the appearance of Shambhu or Lord Shiva is, I was looking for different references in the scriptures. So in the previous verse, we saw that Kurcha Deshad, or from between the space between the two eyebrows of Mahā-Viṣṇu, the Shambhu or the divine masculine manifested is born. Now in also Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto, there is mention of how Rudra was created, Rudra or Shiva was created. So when Brahmaji created this material world and he was ordered for the procreation by the Supreme Lord, so the first he created the 4 Kumaras, and we can check those verses here. So when the 4 Kumaras were created, he asked them to create progeny, but they refused directly because they were completely in the trance and they were in the state of liberation. They were looking for liberation, and they said, we don't want to get into the process of creation. And because of this, when they disobeyed the order of their father Brahmaji, there was anger generated in his mind. So even though he tried to curb it, that anger came out again from the space between the two eyebrows of Brahma. And that's when a child mixed with blue and red. Now these colors, blue and red, represent ignorance and passion. He was immediately generated. So this child is again mentioned as Rudra. So after his birth, he began to cry, and then he asked to Brahmaji, O destiny maker, teacher of the universe, kindly designate me, name me, and give me a place. So, and then the all-powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified this gentle boy, accepting his request, and he said, do not cry. And then he said, O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name of Rudra. So this is one more reference how Rudra was born. And again, in this place also, he was born of anger. That is the basic principle of ignorance and passion. And he is born from the two eyebrows, the space between two eyebrows of Brahma. Now, again, in the 3rd place, when I read, then in the 5th chapter, 5th canto, 25th chapter, the glories of Lord Anantadeva. So it is also mentioned when glories of Lord Anantadeva are mentioned, that from when he wishes for devastation, just because of anger. Again, the principle of creation of Rudra there is also considered as said to be anger. So again, then from between his Lord Anantadeva's two eyebrows appeared 3-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. So one thing I notice here is he appears in every place. When he appeared from the space between two eyebrows. That's where probably anger is generated, and he appeared because of the cause of appearance is mode of ignorance or mode of passion, or kama krodha, as in the third chapter we hear in the Bhagavad-gītā. Kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhava. So he is created from the mode of ignorance and passion. So here in the fifth canto, it is mentioned at the time of devastation, when the Lord Anantadeva desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. And then from his two eyebrows appear three-eyed Rudra for carrying the duty of devastation, carrying the performance of devastation or annihilation of this universe. He is carrying the trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankarshan, who is born of Sankarshan, that's why he is also called as Sankarshan, is the embodiment of 11 Rudras or incarnation of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. And the cause behind Anantadeva's anger is also very nice, actually. So the cause behind Anantadeva's anger, why Anantadeva becomes angry here, is he is angry on the living entities who are in the human form, because he is angry that even though after getting this human form of life, they do not use that opportunity to get free from this entanglement in the material world, and that's why he is angry. So that anger shows compassion of Lord Anantadeva towards all the living entities, and because of that he gets angry, and then that's how, for the purpose of devastation, Rudra is created. So these are the few places where I saw as a reference of appearance of Rudra or Shiva. And there are references why Shambhu is created, or what is the function of Shambhu. So function of Shambhu, as in the verse from Brahma-saṁhitā we also read, is basically to cover these living entities in ahaṅkārā, or the false ego. So Lord Shiva embodies the threefold principle of material ego in goodness, passion, and ignorance. This is from the 10th canto, 88th chapter, where Lord Shiva is saved from the demon Vrikasur, who Lord Shiva himself gives a boon that whoever's head he touches, that person will get burned to ashes. And then that Vrikasur wants to try the same boon on Lord Shiva himself, and then he starts running. So in that pastime, when Shukadeva Goswami explains about Lord Shiva, he explains that he is the threefold principle of material ego. So Lord Shiva is the controlling deity of ahaṅkārā. Then also in the third canto, 6th chapter, when the creation is described, you can check that, verse 6. So in this chapter, when Maitreya Muni is describing the creation of universal form to Vidura, so he explains all the different limbs of the Virata Rupa. And in that different limbs, when he explains about ahaṅkārā, how it is created, and that's where he also mentions that ahaṅkārā, when ahaṅkārā was created, after creation of ahaṅkārā, Rudra, who is the presiding deity or the controlling deity of ahaṅkārā, is created. So here, when the intelligence of the gigantic form separately become manifest, Brahma, who is the Lord of the Vedas, who is the controlling deity of intelligence, entered in intelligence with the partial power of understanding of the subject matters. After that, when the heart of the gigantic separated, the Virata Purusha separately manifested itself, then into it the demigod moon entered with the partial mental activity. So for mind, demigod moon or Soma is the controlling deity. And thereafter, when the materialistic ego of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered Rudra. So this why I read all these three is because these three makes our subtle body. So intelligence, mind, and false ego. And the controlling deities of these three. So intelligence is controlled by Brahmaji, that is the controlling deity, and mind is controlled by moon, and the false ego or ahaṅkārā, the controlling deity of that is Rudra. So that's how Rudra is related to the living entities. It controls the living entities by the ahaṅkārā. So ahaṅkārā is nothing but the separating principle that separates the living entity, and they try to lord it over this material nature in the by the purpose of enjoying separately from Krishna. And interestingly, thereafter the consciousness is separately manifested, and the controlling deity of consciousness is the Paramatma or Vishnu. And that same Paramatma, only when he awakens, the whole universe then starts working. Until that point, nothing functions in this material universe. So, and that is mentioned in the 67 chapters. So the moon appeared after the appearance of mind. That indicate moon is the presiding deity of mind. Brahma appearing after intelligence is the presiding deity of the intelligence, and Lord Shiva, who appears after the false ego, is the presiding deity of false ego. So that's relating to the today's verse from Brahma-saṁhitā. So Brahmaji is said to be the ahaṅkārātmakaṁ viśvaṁ. So he is the basis of ahaṅkāra in this material universe. And the next verse, after it again describes about Mahā-Viṣṇu then. So we learn Mahā-Viṣṇu, he creates three living entities, the three deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And then we read about Shiva's description that he is the controlling deity of ahaṅkāra. And now there is description of what does Mahā-Viṣṇu do then. So atha, tais, tri-vidhair veśair, līlām, udvahataḥ kila, yoga-nidrā bhagavatī, tasya śrīr iva saṅgatā. So atha, in this way, tais, that Mahā-Viṣṇu, he created tri-vidhair veśair. He created the three forms, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. For what? Līlām udvahataḥ kila, to perform lila of creation or creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this universe. And after this, even though he created all this, he is not associated with this material creation. So what is his position then? Yoga-nidrā bhagavatī tasya śrīr iva saṅgatā. So he is saṅgatā, he is consorting only with the divine yoga-nidrā. And that yoga-nidrā is nothing but expansion of his spiritual or chit potency, śrīr. So he has, even though he entered in these three forms as Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva to perform these pastimes of creation, maintenance, and annihilation in the material world, he has nothing to do with this material world. He is eternally associating with the divine yoga-nidrā in the Karana ocean, which that yoga-nidrā is nothing but expansion of his chit potency or Lakshmiji or Rama. So that's what is mentioned here. So thereupon the same great personal Godhead, assuming the threefold forms of Vishnu, Prajāpati or Brahma, and Śambhu, entering into the mundane universe, plays the pastimes of preservation, creation, and destruction in this world, of this world. These pastimes is contained in the mundane world only. So these creation, maintenance, and annihilation is limited to the mundane world. Hence, it being perverted, the Supreme Lord, identical with Mahā-Viṣṇu, prefers to consort with goddess yoga-nidrā. Because it is perverted, he has nothing to do with this perverted nature or the material nature, and he consorts with the goddess yoga-nidrā, the constituent of his own spiritual or chit potency, full of ecstatic trance of the eternal bliss appertaining to his own divine personality. So even after creation of this material universe and taking care of them by the three forms, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, he has nothing to do with this material creation. He is eternally associating with the divine yoga-nidrā, which is said here to be nothing but expansion of his own spiritual chit potency. But the two personalities in this material world, Brahma and Shiva, they consort with their own consorts, which are the perverted reflection of that chit potency. And that is mentioned here. The dislocated portions or the separated portions of divinity, that is Prajāpati and Śambhu, both identifying themselves as the entities who are separate from the divine essence, sport with their respective non-spiritual or the achit consorts. So they never consort with the spiritual or the chit potency of the Lord. Only Supreme Lord consorts with chit potency, and he consorts only with the chit potency. He never consorts with the material potency or the reflected, perverted reflection or the non-spiritual potency. So Brahma's consort given here as Savitri Devi, and Lord Shiva's consort given Uma Devi, which are the perverted reflections of the spiritual chit potency of the Lord. The Supreme Lord Vishnu is the only Lord of the spiritual or the chit potency, that is Rama or Lakshmi. So here the difference given between Brahma and Vishnu and Lord Mahā-Viṣṇu. So Vishnu or Mahā-Viṣṇu only consorts with the spiritual chit potency. He has nothing to do with the material or perverted reflection. On the other hand, Brahma and Shiva only consorts with the achit, the non-spiritual or the perverted reflection of that chit potency, which is achit, that is Savitri Devi and Uma Devi. So yeah, the threefold forms of Lord here are given, and because yoga-nidrā is full of ecstatic trance and bliss, the divine goddesses are included within her. So when Lord is associating with yoga-nidrā, it is nothing but said to be the spiritual expansion of spiritual chit potency. And again, the same thing, Lord Vishnu is the only Lord that of the chit potency, and Prajāpati and Śambhu have the consorts, Savitri Devi and Uma Devi. And in the next verse, then it is said, after this creation in the material universe, the amsha that enters in the material universe, that is the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, from his navel a lotus flower, a golden lotus flower sprouts. So that's what is mentioned in this verse here. Sisrikshayam tato nabhes tasya padmam viniryayo tannalam hema nalinam brahmano loka adbhutam. So Sisrikshayam. So when there is a need or there is a will of creation by the Supreme Lord, from his tato nabhes, from his navel, tasya padmam viniryayo. So a lotus is sprouts from his navel, and tannalam, its stem, has an hemanalinam, and on the top of that there is a golden lotus flower. Brahmano loka adbhutam, which is the abode of Brahmaji in this material world. So that lotus flower, golden lotus flower on the top of the lotus stem, is the abode of Brahmaji, where Brahmaji resides. And all the material creation, all the other planetary systems below that Brahmaloka or Satyaloka are in the stem of that lotus flower that has sprouted from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So when Vishnu, lying in the ocean of milk, wills to create this universe, a golden lotus springs from his navel pit. The golden lotus, which is with its stem is the abode of Brahma, representing the Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. So that stem is where all the 14 planetary systems are created by Brahmaji, and the topmost planetary system, that lotus, is the Brahmaloka, and that is the wonderful. It is said that Brahmano lokam adbhutam. which is the wonderful planet of Brahmaji. So it's 9:27. So that's what I was planning to cover today. So yeah, that, and here this universal system is showed here. Then the lotus stem from here, which sprouts from the navel of Garbhodakashayi Viṣṇu, who is lying in the Garbhodaka ocean, and on top of that lotus, that golden lotus, is Brahmaji's abode, and all the other planetary systems are in that lotus stem. So I will stop there, and next week we will continue from the next verse. So any thoughts or reflections? Hare Krishna. Everybody is muted, so if you are speaking, please unmute.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Radhanand bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Hare.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Beautifully explained, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's importance about you mentioned about importance of Shiva, how Shiva is giving, to boons to the people with what kind of, so we can learn from him what is the correct way to ask the boons and everything also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So
One point-
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
did you refer any Shiva Purana also, Prabhuji? Any referral in that one?
No, Mataji, I am referring only from Srimad Bhagavatam
Sure.
and Brahma-saṁhitā verses.
Oh.
Prabhuji, one question I have. So is
Yes, Prabhuji.
Śambhu and Sadashiv is the same person? Or?
Yes and no. So yes, because Shambhu and Sadashiv is same person, and then the expansions of Shambhu or Sadashiv, who is in the beginning we read that Shambhu is created from, who is in the Karana ocean, or who is in between the spiritual and the material creation near the Viraja river. So in the material world, all the Shambhu or Rudra or Shiva are expansions of that Sadashiv.
Sadashiva.
Yep.
Sadashiva is in a spiritual world and all others are in the material world.
Yes.
Thank you.
So if you don't mind, just add something.
Yes, please, Prabhu.
So it's not that Shambhu is always in the material world only. Lord Shiva has also his own abode, Devi, Mahesha, Haridhama, Shuteshu,
Yeah.
right? So Mahesh Dham is also there where Lord Shiva eternally resides. So this is beyond the material world. Outside of material existence, there is also Mahesh Dham where Lord Shiva eternally resides. But Sadashiva is actually a Vishnu Tattva. It's not Shiva, but Sadashiva is actually a Vishnu Tattva, one of the Vishnu forms of the Lord, whose expansion is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva has come from Sadashiva. So when we hear that Advaita Acharya is actually incarnation of Sadashiva, Sadashiva is actually referring to that Vishnu Tattva. No? But because that Sadashiva is also source of Lord Shiva, sometimes it is synonymously said Lord Shiva is also referred as Sadashiva. But Sadashiva actually is a Vishnu Tattva, Vishnu form, who has Lord Shiva has in source in him.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for clarifying that.
Really.
Yeah, because Advaita Acharya said to be expansion of Sadashiva and Mahā-Viṣṇu.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Prabhuji, Shiva. So I understand Sadashiv Tattva, Vishnu Tattva. I understand Rudra. But I have still confusion going on between Shambhu and Shiva then. So there are so different names and
So Shambhu, as it is mentioned in the Brahma-saṁhitā in several places, is the masculine nature for creation that is needed in this material creation.
right.
So when that masculine nature, masculine halo, as it is mentioned several places, when that interacts with the feminine nature, that is the Maya Devi, that's how the creation is made possible in this material world. That's what my understanding. And please correct me if that is correct, Shankaran Prabhu.
No problem, sir. Very good.
Thank you, Prabhu. One thing when I was preparing for this, and I mentioned I liked is the anger of Anantadeva. So even the anger of Anantadeva is he has so compassion in that anger. It is said. Where was it? Yeah, when at the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadeva desires to destroy, he becomes angry. So in the purport, why he becomes angry is very beautiful reason actually. So in each creation, the living entities are given a chance to close their business as conditioned souls. It's an opportunity for living souls. That's why this material creation also is created. When they misuse this opportunity and do not go back home, back to Godhead, Lord Sankarsana becomes angry. So it is such a beautiful reason actually. It's like a very loving father. He becomes angry because his children are not making the use of opportunity that is given to them. There is so much love of Anantadeva even in that anger for the living entities. So that when I read that was such a beautiful thing I noticed. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So we'll stop here today then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
Hare
हरे कृष्णा।
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.